7 years. The browser that once owned the internet was quietly redirected into Microsoft Edge. I actually tried opening it that week just to see what would happen. It literally just opened Edge instead. In the end, Microsoft didn't just lose the browser war. They had to completely start over. Chrome. Google Chrome didn't just enter the browser market. It reset it. Launched in 2008, Chrome showed up at the perfect time, when Internet Explorer was slow, outdated, and honestly, a little painful to use. Chrome felt completely different. It was fast, clean, and simple. No clutter, no random toolbars you didn't remember installing, just a search bar and your tabs. It felt like the browser finally caught up to the internet. This is what killed Internet Explorer. Speed was the biggest factor. Pages loaded quickly, tabs ran separately so one crash didn't take everything down with it, and the whole experience felt smooth. At a time when browsers would freeze for no reason, Chrome actually worked consistently, which was a pretty low bar, but still. Then came integration. You sign in with your Google account, and suddenly everything syncs. Bookmarks, passwords, history. It just follows you everywhere. If you were already using Gmail, YouTube, or Google Docs, Chrome felt like it was built specifically for you. Because, well, it kinda was. And then Android happened. Chrome became the default browser on billions of devices. At that point, it didn't just win, it took over. When your browser comes pre-installed on most phones on the planet, you don't really need to convince people to switch. But here's the trade-off. Chrome isn't just a browser. It's also part of Google's data machine. The same company that runs ads on half the internet also runs the browser you use to access it. Not a coincidence. It's also famous for eating RAM. Open a few tabs and everything's fine. Open 20 tabs and your laptop starts struggling. Open 50 tabs, and at that point, Chrome isn't a browser anymore. It's a benchmark test for your RAM. Then there's control. In June 2025, Chrome fully enforced Manifest v3, a change to how browser extensions work. In plain terms, it capped how many blocking rules ad blockers can use and limited how they intercept web requests. Popular ad blockers like uBlock Origin got significantly weaker overnight. For a lot of users, that was the moment Chrome stopped feeling like their browser. So yes, Chrome won because it was fast, simple, and everywhere. But it came with a trade-off. Convenience in exchange for some privacy and control. The most important move, though, wasn't what you could see. It was under the hood. Google open-sourced Chrome's engine, called Chromium. And that decision didn't just build Chrome. It changed the entire browser industry, including what Microsoft did next. Edge. Microsoft Edge is what happens when you lose a war and decide to start over properly. After Internet Explorer failed, Microsoft tried again with the first version of Edge in 2015. It looked modern, it was faster, but it had one big problem. It still wasn't Chrome. Websites didn't always work properly. Extensions were limited, and most people didn't see a reason to switch. So history started repeating itself. Then Microsoft made a very smart move. Instead of fighting Chrome, they joined it. In 2020, Edge was rebuilt on Chromium, the same engine behind Chrome, that instantly fixed compatibility issues. Websites worked perfectly. Extensions from the Chrome Web Store worked, and performance improved overnight. It was basically Chrome, but wearing the Microsoft outfit. And the irony is hard to miss. The company that once held 95% of the browser market, the one that got sued for being too dominant, is now running on their biggest competitor's engine. But Edge didn't just copy Chrome. It added its own features. Things like vertical tabs, built-in PDF tools, collections for organizing content, and strong performance optimizations. It also tends to use less RAM than Chrome, which is a nice bonus if your laptop was already struggling. There's also deep integration with Windows. Edge is built into the system, optimized for it, and Microsoft really wants you to use it. Like, really wants you to use it. You'll see prompts, reminders, maybe even a few emotional messages asking you to just give it a try. Try setting Chrome as your default and count how many times Edge asks you to reconsider. The browser is genuinely good. The desperation is what hurts it. There's also Copilot, Microsoft's AI assistant, now baked into Edge whether you asked for it or not. Sidebar suggestions, AI summaries, chat prompts. It's everywhere. Some people find it useful. Others feel like their browser is constantly trying to start a conversation they didn't sign up for. Of course, there's a trade-off here too. Edge is still tied to Microsoft's ecosystem, and like Chrome, collects data, just in a different flavor. The funny part? After losing to Chrome, Microsoft ended up building one of the best browsers, using Chrome's own engine, Safari. Safari is Apple's browser, and it follows the same philosophy as everything else Apple makes. Tight integration, strong performance, and very much their way or the highway. Launched in 2003, Safari became the default browser across Mac OS, iPhones, and iPads. And just like Internet Explorer and Chrome before it, being the default matters a lot. Millions of people use Safari every day simply because it's already there. Open your iPhone, tap the compass icon, and you're online. And here's the part most people don't realize. On iPhones and iPads, Safari isn't just the default. It's the only browser engine. Every browser you download from the App Store, Chrome, Firefox, Brave, all of them, it's just a skin on top of Safari's WebKit engine underneath. Apple doesn't allow competing engines on iOS. So when you think you're using Chrome on your iPhone, you're actually using Safari with a Google logo. Where Safari really stands out is efficiency. It's heavily optimized for Apple hardware, which means better battery life and smoother performance compared to most other browsers on MacBooks and iPhones. While Chrome might drain your battery, relaxed. It's trying to make sure your laptop survives the day. Apple also leans hard into privacy. Features like intelligent tracking prevention block. And Safari generally collects less user data compared to browsers tied to advertising ecosystems. It's one of the main reasons privacy-focused users prefer it. But there are trade-offs. Safari can feel limited. Extension support is smaller, updates to web technologies can be slower, and some websites are still better optimized for Chrome. If you've ever opened a site and something just felt slightly off, Safari might be the reason. It's also very locked into the Apple ecosystem. It works best if you're using Apple devices. Outside of that, it's not really an option. Apple doesn't even try to compete on Windows or Android. Safari isn't trying to win the whole web. It's trying to keep Apple users inside Apple's world. Firefox. Firefox is the last major browser that isn't built on Chromium or WebKit. And that matters more than most people realize. If Firefox disappeared, nearly every significant browser would run on Google's engine, giving one company way too much say over how the web works. Launched by Mozilla in 2004, Firefox quickly became the independent alternative to Internet Explorer, giving users freedom, customization, and privacy. It's open source, which means anyone can inspect, modify, or contribute to the code. Extensions are basically a playground. You can tweak themes, tab behavior, or block every tracker in sight. Privacy is baked in with enhanced tracking protection, Facebook container, and strict cookie controls. Firefox has had its highs and lows. In 2010, it had around 30% market share. Today, it's under 3%. Quick question. Which browser are you actually using right now? Drop it in the comments. And if you're learning something new about the browser you open every day, hit the like button. It genuinely helps the channel. Competition from Chrome, Edge, and Safari has been brutal. Mozilla itself hasn't been without controversy either. Former CEO Mitchell Baker's compensation hit $6.9 million in 2022. And yes, Firefox's market share kept shrinking. She stepped down in early 2024, but the optics left a mark. Add in AI partnerships and questions about organizational direction, and some longtime supporters started wondering whether the mission had drifted. Even so, Firefox still matters. For anyone who cares about keeping the web open and independent, it's essential. It's quirky, a little stubborn, and refuses to follow the crowd. The internet's a rebel with a cause. Opera GX. Opera GX is built for gamers. It runs on Chromium, like most browsers. But what it adds on top is genuinely different from just slapping a gaming skin on Chrome. RAM and CPU limiters make sure the browser doesn't eat your PC mid-match, while a built-in news hub keeps you up to date on game releases. The design leans hard into the gaming aesthetic, with customizable colors, animated backgrounds, and sound effects that make using it feel like part of your rig. It's flashy, but also practical. A browser built to coexist with resource-heavy games. Regular Opera, meanwhile, is less flashy, but still innovative. It introduced features like built-in VPNs, ad blockers, savers, pop-out video, and messaging. Before they were mainstream, Opera likes to first, even if only a small slice of users ever notices. There's an important ownership note. Opera was acquired by a Chinese consortium in 2016, and that includes GX. What this means for your data is debated. And users should be aware. It's not inherently unsafe, but the information is worth knowing. Opera and Opera GX aren't for everyone, but they carve out a unique space in the browser world. For gamers and power users who want extra control and flair, they're genuinely different from the Chrome crowd. Brave. Brave is the browser for people who hate ads almost as much as they love privacy. It was founded by Brendan Eich, the same person who created JavaScript and co-founded Mozilla. When the guy who helped build Firefox decides the browser market still isn't doing privacy right and starts over, that tells you something. Launched in 2016, it's built around speed, blocking trackers, and giving users more control of what they see online. All required. Automatic